we're going to take a look at some problems here. We're going to be working with circles and finding their area and their circumference. We're also going to be given the area and circumference and working backwards to find either the radius or the diameter. When I look at the problem that I have listed here, it says for me to find the exact area and the exact circumference of the circle that's below, and we want to put our answer in simplest form. So because they're asking for the exact area, we're going to leave our answers in terms of pi. Anytime we multiply by pi or we use 3.14 for pi, we end up rounding our answer. If we leave our answer in terms of pi, then there's no rounding and it gives us an exact answer. So let's start with area. So the formula for the area of a circle is pi times radius squared. So in our particular problem, our radius here is 11 meters. So we're going to use that as our radius. So I'm going to say area equals pi times 11 meters squared. I'm going to square 11. 11 times 11, or 11 squared, is 121. Pi, we're going to leave it in terms of pi. We're not going to multiply by 3.14. We're not going to use the pi button on our calculator. We're going to leave it in terms of pi, and since it's area, it's meters squared. So here is our area, our exact area of our circle. Now let's do the same thing. Let's find the exact circumference. So there are really two formulas we can use for circumference. We can say circumference equals pi times diameter, or we can say circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. These are the exact same formulas. It just depends on whether we've been given the radius or given the diameter. In this particular problem, they gave us the radius. So we're going to use this second formula here. We're going to say circumference equals 2 times pi times our radius, which in this case is 11. So our circumference is going to equal 22 pi meters. That is our exact circumference, 22 pi meters. We found both the area. You'll notice our area is in square meters. You'll notice our circumference, since it's the distance, circumference is the distance around the outside. It's just in meters, not in square meters. So let's take a look at another problem. Let's say that we have a circle here, and now instead of being given the radius, they give us the diameter, meaning we go from one side of the circle to the other through the middle. So this problem says, again, they want us to find the exact area and the circumference of the circle below. So we're going to do just that. We're going to go back to our formula for area. Area equals pi times radius squared. Now the problem here is, in this problem, they have given us the diameter. They have not given us the radius. So we're going to take this value here, this diameter, and we are going to turn it into a radius. So your radius, 2 times your radius equals your diameter. So 2 times my radius is going to equal 18, or I have to cut that 18 in half, which means my radius is going to be 9 inches. So over here, when I go back to my area formula, I'm going to say area equals pi times 9 squared. Don't put the 18 in. The 18 is the diameter. We don't need the diameter, we need the radius. So we had to cut that 18 in half. All right, so we can go ahead and simplify this now. 9 squared, or 9 times 9, is going to be 81. Since they want the exact area, we're going to leave it in terms of pi, meaning we're not going to multiply by 3.14. We're not going to hit that pi button on the calculator. There's no rounding. We're going to leave it in terms of pi. So we have 81 pi inches squared. Awesome. Now the problem also asked for the circumference. So as I said in our last example, we have two problems we can use. We can use pi times diameter, two formulas we can use. Pi times diameter, or 2 times pi times radius. It depends on what we have. So in this problem, we were given the diameter. The diameter is 18 inches. We also found the radius is 9 inches. It does not matter which formula we use. I'm going to use this one this time. So circumference equals pi times diameter, or in our case, pi times 18. So my circumference is 18 pi inches. And again, we know that our circumference is a distance around the outside, so we don't have to use square inches. Our area up here is the inside portion of the circle, so it does have to be in square inches. All right, so in our first two examples, we looked at problems where they gave us a circle and they gave us the radius or they gave us the diameter. Now we're going to take things a little bit further. Now we're going to go into, they give us the circumference and they need us to find the radius. Okay, so now we're going to have to work backwards. We're still going to use the same formula that we've been using for circumference. We're just going to work backwards. So again, we have two formulas. We have pi times diameter, or 2 times pi times radius. Since they are giving us the circumference and they're asking for the radius, this is the formula that I'm going to use because it has circumference and it has radius. So let's see, our circumference, instead of c equals, we're going to substitute in that 36 pi, that's our circumference, equals 2 times pi times radius. Our goal, or what we are trying to find, is this radius right here. That's what we're working towards. So let's see here. We can divide both sides by 2 pi. What that will do is it will cross out these here, and it will leave us with the radius by itself. Now over on this side, we're going to take 36, on the left side, we're going to take 36 divided by 2. Well, 36 divided by 2 is 18. Now I have pi divided by pi here, and that's going to cancel out. Pi divided by pi is 1. Those pi's disappear, and we're left with just 18 units as our radius. So again, we started with the circumference and worked backwards with our formula to find the radius. Okay, let's try something similar to that. Now we've got a circle and they're telling us that our area is 64 pi centimeters squared, and they want to know the radius. All right, well, let's think back to our area formula. We talked in our previous problems that area equals pi times radius squared, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that 64 and we're going to plug that in for A, because what we're trying to solve for is R. So let's do that. So let's take 64 pi centimeters squared is our area, and that's going to equal pi times radius squared, okay? Our goal in this problem, we're solving for R, so we're trying to get R by itself. We have to move everything away from R. Let's start by dividing by pi. If we divide both sides by pi, then it's going to cross them out here, and it's going to cross them out there, because anything divided by itself is 1, and it just, in essence, goes away. So we're left with 64 equals radius squared. So now I have to ask myself, okay, how do I undo a square? How do I get rid of something that's squared? Well, the opposite of squaring something is taking square root. All right, very good. Square root. So I have to say, well, what is the square root of 64? Or what times itself equals 64? And that's going to be 8. So our radius equals 8 centimeters. All right, so we've worked backwards from circumference. We've worked backwards from area. It looks like we have one more example to look at here. This one is also dealing with area, but now they want the diameter. So we're going to have to do a little extra step at the end. It's going to be very similar to what we just did. We're going to be finding the area. We already know the area. The area is 169 pi feet squared, but they want the diameter, not the radius. So here's what our plan of attack is going to be. We're going to find the area first. we're going to use the area to find the radius first, and then we're going to double our radius to get our diameter. We know that diameter is twice the radius. So let's work backwards. Here's our formula. Area equals pi times radius squared. We know that we can plug this value in for radius. So 169 pi feet squared is our area. We know that we have pi times radius squared over here. And again, we're going to focus first on finding this radius. Don't forget, we know that 2 times the radius is going to equal the diameter. And we're going to use this at the very end. So we're going to find our radius first, and then we'll come back to that. So let's divide both sides by pi. And as we talked about in the last problem, pi divided by pi is 1, so we can just cross that off. So we have 169 equals the radius squared. Just like in our last example, we said, how do we find radius if we have radius squared? How do we undo a square? And that is, in fact, the square root. So I put the radical symbol on both sides to take the square root. The square root of 169 is 13. So 13 is my radius. Since we're dealing with feet, that's 13 feet. So now I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to say, all right, well, let's take that 13 feet. We need to find diameter. Diameter is what we're looking for. We have the radius now. So we're going to take 2 times my 13 feet, which is my radius, to find my diameter. That means 26 feet equals my diameter. All right. That takes us through an example for several different problems that should help us to be successful in our practice today. Have a great day.